Hello, this is Dr. J. Smith. I'm here in my office here in Pennsylvania, and I'm coming to you to introduce a whole new set of videos that we're now uploading one every 2 or 3 days from a conference we did back in June of this year, 2024, so a few months ago. Back, about a year ago, I got a call from Bob. Some people call him Bob the Builder. Others like to refer to him as Bob from Speaker's Corner, which I think he prefers. He is the one that goes down to Speaker's Corner every Sunday, and he's down there engaging with Muslims, taking them on, using both apologetics and polemics. And this is the area that both he and I love the most because in my case, I've done it for over 40 years. In his case, he's been doing it for now a good 7 to 8 years publicly. And he asked me last year, why don't we have a conference just on polemics to Islam? And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, that's going on the offense. It's having war with words is what it means in the dictionary. A war with words against Islam. For some people, that is a bit too inflammatory, too confrontational, too controversial, and so many people don't engage in it. But a few of us do, and a few of us have been doing so for quite a few years, including myself and others. Now, he said, let's do this conference, and let's do it in London. And why London? Because London is probably the most central location in Europe. It's also got one of the greatest venues where both Bob and I cut our teeth, and that is Speaker's Corner. It's the only place on earth where someone can do that, where anybody can go and say anything they want. There is no restriction at Speaker's Corner to say what you want. It's the bastion of freedom of speech. And I said, well, why not? That sounds like a great idea. And so we convened and planned a conference for June of this year. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring some of the best speakers on polemics against Islam. And we wanted to bring them to one venue, to one church. And we wanted to have 3 days from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, where we had 30 workshops, we had 9 plenaries, and we had 3 panel discussions just on polemics to Islam. We broke the 3 days up into 3 different categories. The first day, the Thursday, we decided that we were going to do what we call internal polemics, or this is the bad breath polemics, which means that you take this book here, the Quran, and you open its pages and you actually critique it. You critique this book. You critique what's in it, the things, the problems with it, the contradictions, the scientific errors, the many anachronisms, historical anachronisms within the book. That's called the internal. You're looking at it internally. You're looking at the book that the Muslims read and memorize and follow. This is their paradigm. This is their general revelation, you might say. Or you look at Muhammad, their paradigm. You look at what Muhammad did. You look at what he said. You look how he treated his own family, how he treated his wives, how he treated those who stood against him, how he treated the Jews there in Medina. And that's looking at the Muhammad that the Muslims know internally, seeing if he's relevant for today. That's the internal critique. I call it the bad breath critique. The second day, then, we dedicated to what we call the cultural polemics. Cultural polemics is when you look at Islam today, look and see what it's doing around the Muslim world. Look and see what it's doing in Britain. Look and see who the major characters are, who the major players are, and how they act and what they say, and whether or not they're relevant for today. Now, that's something that I have been doing for years. I've also been doing the internal critique for many years. I still do some of the cultural material. Bob from Speaker's Corner is probably the best one at that. He goes down to Speaker's Corner and he holds Islam accountable. Hatun Tash, my colleague for many years, she is the one that actually engages and shows how irrelevant most Muslims are for the 21st century. So that was the second day. The third day was then dedicated to my area of expertise, and this is the day that I was responsible for, and this is the external critique. So you had the internal critique, you had the cultural critique, and then we went to the external critique, or the historical critique, looking at the origins of Islam. And this is what I've been doing. If you've been going up on Pfander Films, this is what I have been uploading, film after film, episode after episode for the last, for the last 4 years at least, on just all the problems. And we're not looking at the Quran. We're not opening a page of the Quran. We're not reading. Well, I shouldn't say we're not reading one word. We are reading the Arabic at times. But what we're doing is asking a much more basic question, and that is, did this book exist as it is today, complete, 114 surahs in the 7th century? Did the paradigm, the man behind this book, Muhammad himself, did he exist in the 7th century? And what about his city, Mecca? Did it exist in the 7th century? So this is a historical critique using evidence from the 7th and 8th century. So that's we did on the third day. Now, all of that was done by speakers. Now, what kind of speakers? We had 18 speakers. Let me just give you who they were. We brought, from those who were already in Britain, Bob from Speaker's Corner, Chris from Speaker's Corner as well. We had Dr. Pat Andrews, who has been working with me for almost 30 years. Dr. Paul Blackham, who I have known since the 1990s. He was one that did the devotions for us. We brought in also Reverend Rob Scott, who was one who really worked on looking at some and introducing some of the apologetical material. We brought Paul Ellison to talk about the Jerusalem hypothesis. And then we also brought Dr. Emil Shihadeh, who is a medical doctor who is from Israel, though he's grown up in Britain, and who is now engaging in both apologetics and polemics there in Britain. So that was the British contingent. Then from the United States, we brought in Dr. David Wood, who's probably the best known of any of the polemists in the world today, and certainly has the highest following, the greatest following, and he was a real celebrity for the people who came. I was there, then along with me, Reverend Anthony Rogers, who is probably the world's leading contender on engaging with the Trinity in the Bible and looking at Jesus in the Old Testament. We had Dr. Edward Dalcour, who is great on theology and doing a comparative between the two theologies. We brought him from the west coast of America. Vocab Malone, similar area. He is very good on the internet, and you will see him as he engages. He got up on the ladder with me at Speaker's Corner to look and see just how great Jesus is when compared to Muhammad. Reverend George Saig, we brought him, and he is the one that kind of brings all and does all the conferences around the United States. And he is from the Sudan, so he has grown up with Arabic as his mother tongue. And then Louis Lionheart, who's great on the theological categories there from the West Coast. But we didn't just keep it to United Kingdom and United States. We also brought in Mel, who is from Ireland, and he is one of my best researchers, and he was the one that really has been helping me with the historical critique, looking at the origins of Islam. We brought and had Odon Lafontaine coming from France, probably the best on the numismatics, and he's just come out with his brand new book, which we highlighted and will be highlighting on the FanderCenter.org website. From Italy, we brought Francesco Maggio. What a character. He and I go way back into the 1990s. And he and I have been working hand and foot in Italy. And, of course, he used to be in Britain. But we brought him in to really engage with Allah versus Yahweh. And then probably to give us some real academic viability, we asked Dr. Robert Kerr, head of the Inara Group, to come and give us some great background coming out of the German school there in Europe. He teaches both at Brussels University and also at Saarland University in Saarbrücken in French and in German. This man reads and writes 10 languages. So we brought him in to really give a heavyweight overlook on the whole historical critique on the third day. So those are the 18 characters, all of us who are either on the internet or writing books or writing articles, but we're all engaged with Polemics. Now, every one of their talks is going up on FanderCenter.org. You're going to see it. You're going to be able to look at it. You can, if you want to, you can also download them and put it and upload them on your own channels if you want to. After we did these 3 days, from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, on the Sunday then, we all went down to Speaker's Corner. That's where I mean, if you're going to take material, you need to take it to Speaker's Corner. And over 170 people came to the conference who signed up. They all had to be vetted. We had to know whoever they were, and we had to make sure that they were not Muslims, because we did not want Muslims coming to the conference because of the security problems with so many high-profile polemicists in one place. We all then moved to Speaker's Corner, and we tried it out. We did it. We used it. And there was, I understand, about another 100 to 200 Christians who came and joined us at Speaker's Corner. And for 4 hours on June the 9th, we just took over the corner. That was so much fun. Now, these plenaries and these workshops and also the panels are all going up now next week, one video at a time for you. Because it does us no good just keeping this to ourselves. We recorded every session. They're now going to be going up so that you can look at them. And then you can learn from them and use them in your own ministries. Or you Muslims who are watching, take them and try to come up with responses to them. See, the great thing about YouTube is that at the bottom of YouTube, there's always the comments section, and you can comment, and please do. And each one of those who did that workshop or who did the plenary or who gave or was involved in the panel discussions, they will be looking at their videos to see how you respond and to see whether or not they can rebut your responses. That's the beautiful thing. In some ways, YouTube has become the Speaker's Corner of the world. It's taken what we do at Speaker's Corner on just Sundays and puts it up so the whole world can see it and engage with it and be able to have access to it 24/7. So these are for you. And I hope you do look at them. I hope you do engage with them. I hope some of you download them and maybe upload them on your own channels. Feel free to use any of the material that's in these videos. And we'll be doing this again. God bless you. It's so good to be able to talk to you. This is Jay here in my office here in Pennsylvania. Over and out. Now, to put these conferences on costs an awful lot of money. I paid for the last one, and that was because I had it in the budget. For the next ones coming up, if any of you would like to help out, please do donate, and just specifically say it's for the NAPC conference. To do that, go onto pfandercenter.org website, and on the far right-hand side, you will see a button that says Donate. Open it up, and when you open up, you'll see PayPal, Patreon, and Brethren in Christ. Go to the PayPal and just donate through the PayPal, and just say that this is for the upcoming NAPC or NAPC conference that we'll be doing in June of 2025. We would love to have as many of you who can donate, because the more you do, the better the conference we can give you, and the more speakers we can bring in. God bless you. Thanks again. This is Jay. Over and out.